Now, speaking of Derek Brunson, okay, and top 5 list there, he's got his own top 5 list. Top 5 all-time middleweights. He spoke to our own Mark Raimondi. Here's what he had to say.
Top 5 middleweights for the last 10 years. I don't know. I maybe have to go.
I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, maybe Anderson 1, maybe Izzy 2, Whitaker 3. Romero maybe a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then a 5. I don't know. May have to put myself in there, you know?
Yeah, do it. Why not?
Yeah.
It's your time. It's your platform right now.
I've done a lot in the middleweight division. The only thing I haven't done was been champion. But some people had easier roads to being the champion, you know. There's been times at 55 where guys win the title and they had an easier path than, say, someone else, you know. So it happens like that sometimes, you know. It's all about timing.
All right, I'm going to be real here. I'm not mad at him for including himself in the all-time top 5 list. If anything, I'm giving him props for doing it. All right, so he's got Silva, Adesanya, Whitaker, Romero, and himself there. So, Chael, what do you make of his list? Let's start there.
I got to tell you, I'm just glad it was done. That was painfully dull to listen to. Unfortunately, doesn't get a ranking because I think he put in 5 different spots. I'll tell you how the list should go. You got to start with Anderson Silva. I mean, that's just out of respect because of how long he was there. You want to know who the second greatest middleweight of all time is? His name's George St-Pierre for one simple reason. He won a world championship and he left undefeated. I don't care that it was 1-0. It was one unblemished fight and you got to give Robert Whitaker. And Robert Whitaker deserves respect for other things aside from the championship, including winning the Ultimate Fighter, which is the toughest tournament in all of sport. And he is one half of the biggest gate, stood opposite Adesanya, in the biggest gate in MMA history, which was just south of 57,000 people. I'm then going to look at my notes because I've got Israel Adesanya, but I also throw Bisping in there. On any given night, Michael Bisping will fight anybody. He will beat anybody. He did just that. Unfortunately, the count was recognized and is put in the Hall of Fame, which is the greatest honor our industry can bestow on somebody. They bestowed it on the right guy.
Now, look, I thought about putting Bisping in my own top 5. I did. Excuse me.
Where'd you put
St-Pierre?
Did you rank How'd do on your list?
Did not make the top 5. I don't even know if makes the top 10 or 20, for that matter, to be frank with you. But I meant to say George St-Pierre. I thought about George St-Pierre, but because of the one fight, right? I could just imagine people on Twitter screaming at me, see, you putting in a guy who's got one fight, how dare you? Now, you're willing to take that heat. I'm fine with it. Now, I felt like it was a worthy cause, potentially, to put GSP in there, but I just didn't want to deal with the grief. I'm technically on vacation here for the next week, Chael. I'm doing this show because I love you and I love this sport and I love this show. But I didn't want to have to deal with the Twitter trolls, so I did not put him in my top 5. But here is my top 5, okay? I've got Anderson Silva at number 1. I've got Adesanya at number 2. I got Bisping at number 3. I got my Cuban guy, okay? Cubano, Yoel Romero at number 4. And because if Derek Brunson can be self-serving, so can I and this show. I got you, Chael Sonnen, at number 5. What say you of my list? Undefeated, undisputed, go.
It's a beautiful list, and I appreciate it very much. I'll tell you a name that I really enjoyed watching. I don't know how much that goes to the greatest ever, but Rich Franklin, for his time period, was very ahead. And another one would be Frank Shamrock. For his time, he was very ahead. Now, Frank, at that time, was competing. They only had a light heavyweight class and a heavyweight class. Frank was the weight of a middleweight, but technically never got to do middleweight because it didn't exist at that time. So I think that we could spread a little bit of love around. I think that there's plenty to go. When you bring up Yoel Romero, even though he was only a contender, I think that's a very fair name. I think that Luke Rockhold matters. I think Chris Weidman had a good moment in the sun. But when you do bring up somebody that wasn't champion like Yoel Romero, I get inclined to pull in Jacare Souza. There were some other guys that didn't quite get to wear that belt, but boy, they were some good fighters.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.